Everyone needs a way to add gold to their financial portfolio.
It must have been cold there in my shadow to never have sunlight on your face. You were content to let me shine. That's your way. You always walked a step behind. See, I was the one with all the glory, while you were the one with all the strength. Yes, you were. Only a face without a name. I never once heard you complain. No. Did you ever know that you're my hero? You're everything I would like to be. I could fly higher than an eagle. Yeah, yeah. 'Cause you are the wind beneath my wings. It might have appeared to go unnoticed, but Daddy, 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 I've got it all right here in my heart. Yes, I can. And I know you don't know. I know the truth. I know you know the truth about it. You know the truth now. I would be nothing, nothing without you. Yes, you. Did you ever know you're my hero? Yeah, yeah. You're everything I would like to be. You're a part of me. You're a part of me. I could fly higher than an eagle. Cause you are the wind beneath the old man's wing. One more time, yeah, yeah. You are the wind beneath my wing, my wing. So Daddy, I remember you up on the stage singing your song, That's why I used to take you and your brothers on the road. I used to carry y'all along. But now I'm glad we can stand up and sing it together now. It's so good to see your dreams come true, right here and right now, right now. It might have appeared to go unnoticed, unnoticed. No, it didn't, Daddy. But son, I've got it all right here in my arms, in my arms, my heart. I want you to know that I know the truth. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
So if somebody has time, we can Google that real quick about the guy, the cult, the owner of the cult, so we can talk about that.
I wanna be something that is nothing. Zero without you. Did you ever know that you're my hero? If you didn't, I'm telling you now, Daddy, Dad, you're everything
Opinions, all on one show. We all have two eyes, but we definitely don't see things the same. But we respect each other's opinions, and most times we leave with an additional perspective. I'm Shay. Alongside me this evening, we have Heidi, Dawn, and Alicia Coleman. We'd like to thank you all for tuning in again this week. Each week, we ask you to reach out via your social networking sites, get your friends and your family to tune in to SkyCityMG.com/talk. That's SkyCityMG.com/talk. Also, we're really excited about our Facebook page, which is A Queen's Eye View. We've gotten a whole lot of friends since last week, and we're looking for a few more. So please go on and like our Facebook page, A Queen's Eye View, and also join our other Facebook groups, Sky City Media Group and Jericho Broadcast Networks. Again, that's Sky City Media Group and Jericho Broadcast Networks. Well, before we get started with our program tonight, we always like to check in with our queens. So we're going to start with Dawn Michelle tonight. Hey, Dawn.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Doing well, doing well. How's it
Awesome.
Did you get caught in the rain?
I did, but it's okay.
Gotta be careful because sugar melts.
I had an umbrella, so I didn't have to worry about melting today. I'm so glad. Because I am sugar. Yes. So I had an umbrella, so I didn't have to worry about that today.
Well, good. So glad you're on with us tonight. Hey, Heidi.
Hey, Shay.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you this week?
I am doing well, actually. Can't complain. Actually, I got into a little tip with my barber tonight, but that's okay.
Oh. Oh, no, that's not good.
No, it's not, because, barbers, there's a lot of them out there. Not a lot of good ones, but I do know a couple, so I think I may look them up.
Oh, okay. Well, just know we got your back, girl. We got your back. You know what I'm saying?
Do I need to get my nice shade? Do I need to get my nice?
I know, right. Vaseline sneakers.
Ladies, let me ask you really, do you feel that when you go to get your hair done, whether it's by your barber or your stylist, does it not annoy you when they stop to do everything else but your hair?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
And
on their phone.
Yeah, exactly.
On their phone, texting, having conversations with other people that's waiting.
Buying food from all the people that walk in the salon to sell their food all day, trying to eat and do your hair at the same time. Really?
Right. It's too much.
So y'all feel my pain.
Yes.
And we had a show to do it. I'm saying, well, it takes 10 minutes to cut my hair, not show a text or show your phone to someone while you're operating the clippers.
Right, because you can't do both at the same time, and you have somewhere to be.
And he said he could do both at the same time, and we had a quiet conversation going, but I just don't think that some people and some men like for someone or some women to say something. So I saw something and I said something, and it turned into, something else. And, well, needless to say, that went another way. But anywho, I'm sorry, Heidi, you were telling me how you were doing.
You had to get that one out.
Right, so I took my turn already.
Well, I'm still on Labor Day weekend mentally. I had a really nice weekend. I went to an old school house party, barbecue / cookout / family gathering. It was really, really nice. And somebody was the bartender, and I had a real good time. Just letting y'all know I'm mellow. I'm mellow the rest of the week. Trying to get to Friday.
Wow, those drinks last like that for a few days?
Yes, ma'am. Shout out to the bartender. I didn't even know her name, girl. I just know she was part of the church group. They make the best drinks. They make the best
church group? Oh, Lord. Well, all right. We're going to leave it right there. Praise the Lord.
Thank God.
Alicia Coleman, how are you?
I am great. I have my week has been awesome. I've been revamping my first book, doing a little modification in it, and I released the fifth book over the weekend. So it was pretty good. I've had a good week so far.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. I just got a message that said Jesus did turn water into wine.
Okay, Roy.
Amen. He did. Amen. Yes.
Well, I tell you, we sure can make that Bible do and say what we needed to say, huh?
Hey, there you go.
He also fed the multitudes, right?
Yep, absolutely.
You loaves of bread.
Absolutely.
Well, we have an exciting show as we do every week, but this week is especially exciting and even more so personal for me this week. But one of the topics we're going to talk about is holding the powerful and influential accountable. And also we're going to talk about, which I said is going to be very personal, is ALS. You know, what is it and who and how does it affect us? So we're going to, do our second half of our show about ALS. But the first half of our show, we're going to talk about the powerful and influential, holding them accountable. And I find this very fitting this week. I know here in Georgia where we're located, there's been quite a few things going on, ladies. And I know you've seen it like I have. Just this past week, there was an Atlanta police officer, 23 years old. He had met a woman on Craigslist. She was 26 years old. Well, he kidnapped her, murdered her, and then set her body on fire. And they caught him at Atlanta Hartsfield heading to Mexico. So my thing is, when they caught him, they put him in jail, and he was sad. So should he not be held accountable for his actions? Should he not be locked up with the rest of the people that maybe he has locked up? Should he be in protective custody or not? What do you think?
Why should he?
I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go on and finish your question.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
Oh, I just don't believe he should be in protective custody, simply because he committed a crime, and he is no different than any of the other criminals that are locked up in jail. He should not be shown favoritism. I mean, he made a conscious choice. He knew the law. So, and I think he should be with the regular population.
Right, so if they decide to kill him, if he maybe have locked someone up and somehow he loses his life because he's been put in general population, then that's just kind of too bad, you think?
Well, yeah, that's the way I feel, because the thing about it is that so many cops love to call people animals, scums, they want to call them all these names, but you go out and commit the same crime, so you should be in the same jail with the same population of people that you put in there, because you're no different.
Right, same laws should apply. Dawn, what are your feelings on it?
Hello?
I agree. I was going to say, because I think I was coming in at the same time as Alicia, but yeah, like, why should he be treated any differently? I don't care that you are a police officer. I mean, you would have been locking up the guy if it hadn't been you. So, in my opinion, he absolutely does not deserve any special treatment. No, not at all.
Absolutely. Because he did take a young woman away from her family.
Yes. Right, and he killed her? Did you say he killed her?
Oh, yeah, he kidnapped her, killed her, and then set her body on fire downtown Atlanta to try to get rid of the evidence.
Yeah, he's a sick individual, and he should get, I'm pretty sure this will probably be a first-time offense for him, so I was going to say he should get the maximum punishment, but clearly, I'm not a lawyer or anything, But I know that if you're a first-time offender, normally you don't get the maximum sentence. So,
I'm thinking maybe in this case he would. I mean, this is horrendous. And because he is a police officer, he knows the law.
Right, exactly. So if for no other reason but that one.
Exactly.
He should be.
I mean, that's a heinous crime.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Heidi?
And her family, I mean, that's her family has got to be in so much pain and turmoil right now. Like, that's just terrible.
And I'm sure someone somewhere is saying, well, he met her on Craigslist. You know, she was, I think I read somewhere that said she was obviously soliciting, and he picked her up. Regardless of what she was or was not doing, the fact remains, he picked her up, he took her out, you know, and he assaulted her, kidnapped her, murdered her, and set her on fire. So now they're trying to make her the bad person. Amazing.
Can I throw a perspective in?
Absolutely.
And just to give a little bit of education and background, because I work with law enforcement and the jail system is divided in different types of populations of criminals. They don't put everybody together. Well, in county jail, you're together because that's not a long-term facility. So that jail downtown Atlanta, that's a temporary facility. But when you go away and when they convict you of a crime, they split you up in different populations anyway. So, for instance, if you're Jeffrey Dahmer, you ain't going to be hanging out with the dudes who did, you know, like tech crimes or computer crimes or did petty theft or burglary crimes while they're doing some fed time. You're going to be in a totally different population or a totally different part of the jail. So I just bring that up to say this. From someone who testifies on cases and who has been there at the time where families are seeking justice, if they put him in Gen Pop right now, because he's a cop and because of what he does, if he gets killed, then that family's not going to get any justice, not initially. Now, if they send him away and he goes to bed and something happens to him, that's totally different. But at this point, he hasn't even been, the case hasn't fully been investigated. They haven't gone through jury indictment, and it hasn't gone to trial yet. So that wouldn't be giving the family as much justice as you guys think. But I'm just giving it a perspective.
Right. No, that's
yeah. I mean, and I know they don't put police officers in general population. I mean, but the thing about it is that I still. And I understand what you're saying about giving the family, justice. But, does the family want him in general population? Or do they want him in, what does the family want him? And it may be justice for them for him to be killed. So some people, life or life. So it just depends on the person.
Right. No, I understand he has to be convicted first, always innocent until proven guilty, and I do understand the due process of the law. But of course, as a human, an instinct is like, oh heck, throw him in there, throw him to the wolves. And then he was fleeing the country, trying to flee the country. He was trying to board a plane to Mexico at Hartsfield. That's where they caught him. He was trying to skip town. But he didn't quite make it.
And I'm just throwing in some stuff that, just for general education purposes. I know we all want our own justice. It just doesn't always work out the way we all want it. And a lot of people don't realize that these cases, they don't even go to trial for years. So if he's sitting in county jail in general pop, they're going to have to isolate him because a lot of times defense gets as much time as they want to investigate their case, appeal, and do everything they can, even after an indictment has been handed down from the district attorney's office. I mean, I testify on child abuse molestation cases, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, my cases might not come up 3, 4, 5, 6 years later when the kids are a total different age from when it happened. So I'm just putting all these perspectives out there. So I need you guys to understand, because we really don't know what's going on with this young man. We don't know if he had a mental illness. We don't know what the heck is going on. But I do believe that the family needs to have total, explanation and justice. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, no, it's a great view. No, I know that. I was waiting to get to you last because I knew you would shed that light on that part of it because of your expertise in it. But absolutely. And he's a young guy. 23 years old. I'm thinking, wow. I just wonder what type of psych evaluations, because I know before you even go on to the police force, you have to go through, I'm thinking, some type of psych evaluation, background checks, things such as that. Yep.
Absolutely. And everybody doesn't pass them, so everybody doesn't get into the academy.
Right.
I'm going to be very honest with you. A lot of people get through all the steps, and they can't pass that psych eval or that lie detector test, which is something else they give you before you go in.
Oh, a lie detector.
Yeah. They kind of do it all. They do a full FBI check. They do a lie detector test. They do a psychological, and they do a medical, a full medical exam. And those steps can, stop you in your tracks, even if you have a perfect application and, a great background.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really interesting. I'm like you, Shay. I'm curious to know what his psych eval said.
Right. That he went through. It wasn't just a crime of passion,
Right.
Because sometimes, crime of passion isn't, that doesn't mean you're crazy. You just at the moment.
Correct.
Got caught up.
Right.
Okay, well, I have a question, Heidi. So, if they do the psych evaluation, who is in charge of observing those evaluations or deciding, the outcome?
The police department hires. Usually they have one in-house. I'm not sure if APD is currently contracting or they have one in-house, but at the police academy, before you even get into the academy, they have a psychiatrist, not a psychologist. Usually it's a psychiatrist. You guys know the difference. A psychiatrist is the one who can give meds. Okay?
Right.
And they're both doctors, but a psychiatrist is a medical doctor. So they usually have a psychiatrist who goes through the psych evals, does evaluations. They discuss that process with the commanding. When you go in, you have a recruiter that recruits the person, and then they have a committee that looks over the app, and then they have the psychiatrist that goes through those psych evals and gives all that information. So what you do is essentially you build a profile. Like for an FBI agent or anybody else, you build a profile as to really what you think this young man or young woman is going to be able to, give in terms of their service to the police department. And if that profile in any way comes up with some things that are sketchy, 9 times out of 10, you're knocked out of the box. It's just how the process is. A lot of people who apply, they don't get in.
I was just going to say, because I'm sorry, if somebody is capable of kidnapping someone, burning their body, killing them,
right?
They cannot be sane. Like you said, that's not what normal sane people do. So
yeah, but
one other
are good at.
Oh no, you're right. Shay, you're right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to give one other fact to this whole piece. And it's not a fact that I'm proud of, but it is a fact, and it's a statistic. It's out there. You guys need to understand that a lot of times law enforcement, they have some of the highest domestic violence cases against them as officers of any other person in the country.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that kind of gives you some insight into their nature. Not everybody. I'm not saying everybody beating up on their wife. I'm just saying there's a huge high percentage of domestic violence that comes out of law enforcement officer, that pool of people. And there you go. Because they're dealing with a lot. We're always talking about what they're doing, but y'all got to understand what they're dealing with also especially if you're a decent cop, and now you got to deal with the stupid stuff that some bad cop did. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, and I have actually heard that I've actually heard that before, that they have very high rate of domestic violence against their own spouses. And it seems like, I mean, we all know the divorce rate is like 60% in the country anyway, which is horrible. But it seems like I would love for somebody to do a study based off of what you do in your career for married people, and see what careers will give the highest divorce rate. You know what I mean? Like if you're a lawyer married to a doctor, if you're a police officer married to a secretary, or you're a police officer married to a teacher, or, you know, like that kind of stuff, and what happens in that area too, because it seems like the divorce rate is pretty high for police officers also.
Well, I'm just going to say ditto on that again, but, I mean, any high-stress job situation where you may have to, you got to understand, police lie for a living because they can't. They're sanctioned by the state to say anything and do anything in order to get their case. And a lot of people don't understand that. You know, you can say whatever you want in an interrogation room. You can trick people in an interrogation because your purpose is to get the information you need to solve a case. So when you go around for a living doing undercover stuff, when you're doing shady stuff, you know, you might be doing double duty at more than, y'all see police all over Atlanta working 3-4 jobs.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
They're living all these different lives. That's high stress craziness.
Right, but that doesn't put them above the law, of course.
No, it does not.
Right.
Shay is right.
Right, it doesn't put them above the law to do these extra things, such as, of course, not this murder, but even just this week in Cobb County, there was an APD supervisor. He was arrested for drunk driving. A passerby called 911 and said that there's this guy swerving all over the yellow line. Well, when they came and stopped him, they found out that he was a police officer, Robert Albertini. What? He was appointed by the chief, Turner. And now he's arrested in jail. And, you know, they went through showing on the television today, you know, his picture when he had his commendations on his chest. And in the picture they had to take of him like a mugshot where he was ashamed and he was angry. But they said, no one's above the law. And so when they stopped him, he was glassy-eyed, you know, he was disoriented. But should he have not been stopped? Should he have been given a pass because he was the APD supervisor?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, and he was not.
Absolutely not.
Okay, these celebrities that's got all this money aren't given passes. So that should tell you right there that all these celebrities, football players, how many, a ton of football players have been arrested for drunk driving, or this, or that, or, you know, I mean, and they got all the money in the world, and the law doesn't accept, they don't get an exception to the rule, so I don't know why anybody would think they would.
Right. I think they take pleasure in sometimes humiliating, you know, celebrities and arresting them. What was the guy here that was at the University of Georgia? What was the guy, you know, the coach? Was not University of Georgia, just, what was it, last year? Where's our King Eye View? The guy here, what was the coach's name? Here at the school.
I don't remember his name, but I remember what you're talking about.
Right, he was a...
Come on, Roy. Roy probably know. Roy, help us out. Come on, Roy.
He was with the woman. He was with the young girl downtown Atlanta. And he had her panties with him, and he was married, and he was drunk, and he got
that was actually the former AD. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
We can hear you, Roy.
Yeah, he was the former AD of the University of Georgia. Actually, he was a black guy, and unfortunately, his last name was Evans, no relations. So.
Make that perfectly clear.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. Well, he tried, you know, to say who he was and hopefully would get a pass, but they didn't give him a pass at all. He lost everything, including his wife, his job, his six-figure salary and everything.
Yep.
Now, what happened, Shay? What did he do now? Again? What did he do?
He got caught with a prostitute, basically, is what it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And he was drunk and had her panties over there on his side or had them on his lap, something or another. And when the cop stopped him, he tried to tell him who he was and say he was going home, and he didn't want to, get arrested, of course, because he didn't want it to get put into the papers and for his wife to find out, because of the position he held. And you know, at the University of Georgia, where no can do, they couldn't wait to run that story.
Well, what happened was the officer was a Georgia Tech grad. Sports joke. Okay, I'm gonna let that one go.
Well, you guys, I'm just gonna put this out here. Some of my expert testimony, and I won't say any names out of respect for the persons, but some of my expert testimony led to putting away a well-known police officer at APD for child molestation, and he actually worked on the school grounds as moonlighting as a school resource officer. So that case in itself showed me, and I did that case a couple of years ago, and it just, like I said, cases take time to go to trial in Fulton County. I'm just letting y'all know it takes a couple of years. But that case just settled out a couple of years ago. It was very difficult for me because I knew the detective, and then I knew that some of the things that I had to testify to put him to jail. And he ended up, he was arrogant. He wouldn't take a plea deal from the district attorney. So because he went to trial, he ended up getting over 20 years.
Wow.
With no probation.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I don't have, after going through that as a personal experience, I don't think anybody is above the law, especially, y'all know how I am about my children, but, that right there showed me that, anybody is capable of anything. It is what it is.
Right. Wow. Well, we're going to get ready to take a break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to continue talking about that topic. Whew, that's pretty deep. Man.
Yeah.
Makes you think, huh?
Yes, it does.
You never know. Well, we'll be right back with a Queen's Eye View and holding the powerful and influential accountable. Stay with us. We'll be right back with a Queen's Eye View. I'm Shay. We have Heidi, Dawn, and Alicia Coleman. Stay with us.
Everyone needs a way to add gold to their financial portfolio. Carrot Bars International makes gold affordable to the masses with the freegoldplan.com. Get gold in 24-karat 999.9% pure gold bullion in small, affordable weights. Save your money in gold and even get paid to share with others how to do the same. No broker fees, no setup fees, and with referrals, your gold can be free. Go to thefreegoldplan.com. That's thefreegoldplan.com now.
Oh, this has been a day I want to forget. From not finding my keys, to running late for my big meeting, then having the client cancel the meeting, to my boss wanting to revamp the entire proposal this weekend. This is really a day for a hot tub and a big glass of my tranquility wine.
The skilled winemakers of Countryside Vineyards craft quality muscadine grapes into fine wine. Known for their distinctive flavors and characters, these hybrid southern grapes create a sweet class of robust wine. So the next time you're out, ask for Tranquility Wines or order yours online today by visiting them at floridavineyard.com.
Now this is just what I needed. Tranquility Wine. Why can't everything be this relaxing?
Tranquility Wines, for those times when nothing else matters. Please enjoy responsibly, and remember, you must be 21 years old to drink.
Stokes and Matthews Media is a boutique media company that specializes in vision coaching, publishing, and marketing for authors, experts, and small business owners. It is the mission of Nadia Matthews and Nicole Stokes to show aspiring writers and seasoned authors how to build lucrative brands using their books as the foundation. Before the company's official launch in September 2014, Stokes and Matthews Media will be offering free online workshops and interviews with industry experts, ebooks, and discounted first-time consultations for individuals who desire to get on the company's 2014-2015 roster. Stokes and Matthews Media is also scouting experienced individuals in the literary publishing, PR, marketing, promotions, and event planning industries to join the team on a freelance and/or internship basis. If you would like to learn more about Stokes and Matthews Media or learn how you can advertise with us, please send a detailed email to info@stokesandmatthewsmedia.com or visit www.stokesandmatthewsmedia.com. Stokes and Matthews Media, where your project is our passion.
Honey, what are we going to do with all these bills? It doesn't make any sense. We make more than enough money to cover everything, but we're still in a hole.
Let's check out Madam Money.
Madam Money? Who is that?
She is a financial expert who helps people like us set and reach our financial goals.
This is great. With her help, we can do all the things that we talked about.
That's right. Now we can take that vacation we've always wanted and not feel stressed.
Hi, this is Tara Jackson, also known as Madam Money, and I can help you clear up all of your financial diseases and those pesky financial STDs.
See, this is why I love you.
Yes, I know.
So check out Madam Money online at tarajackson.com. TARRA Jackson.com.
Lisa, you've been staring at that computer screen for 30 minutes. What's wrong?
Oh, it's my new marketing campaign. I want to tell people how great my business is, but I don't know what to say. I need copy for the website, newsletters, and brochure, and I'm drawing a blank. Writing just isn't my thing.
My boss had the same problem, and he called Put It in Writing Professional Writing Service.
Put it in writing? What's that?
It's a business just for people who need copywriting, but don't have the budget for the big marketing and PR firms. They help my company tell everyone about the great products and services we offer through our website. And when my cousin recorded his CD, Put It in Writing wrote his bio and press release. They even do resumes.
That's good to know, because I'll be looking for a job if this business doesn't take off.
Don't worry. Call the professionals at Put It in Writing at 901-359-6629 and check out the website at putitinwriting2.com. That's putitinwriting2.com.
Is Donna?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yo.
Hello, and welcome back to A Queen's Eye View. I'm Shay.
I'm Hi.
We've got Alicia Coleman.
Yes, I'm Dawn Michelle.
And I'm Heidi.
And we're back, and we are excited about our show this night, and we're talking about holding the powerful and influential accountable. First of all, we'd just like to ask you all to please go on and like our Facebook page. We are one like away from how many, ladies?
100.
100. It just hit 100 just now. So someone
we hit 100.
Yes, it just hit 100. Well, now let's go.
Did we?
Awesome. Well, keep it going. We want to get to 200 now. So keep liking the page, everybody. A Queen's Eye View. Keep liking the page. Let's see how many we can get to before the top of the next hour. What do you ladies think? How many can we get before the top of the next hour?
I say let's hit 110.
I say 150.
Yeah, that's right, 150. Yeah.
150. That's what we're shooting for. So we just ask you all, please go on and like our page. Go to your social networking sites, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Please get your friends and your family to tune in to skycitymg.com. Also, we'll go ahead and give out the number, 678-701-3738. That's 678-701-3738. Call in, chime in with us, join our conversation, and chat with the Queens on a Queen's Eye View. Now, before we went to break, we were talking, and actually Heidi was shedding some light and dropping some knowledge, as she always does with us, about what the laws really are, and we can't get caught up in our opinions and our feelings because we do have to resort back to the law. But here in Atlanta, it's been a very busy week for police officers. We spoke about the officer who was arrested for murder. We spoke about the officer who was arrested for drunk driving. And there was also, and I hope it's not the school resource officer Heidi was speaking of, and because it may be, I won't mention the name, he was arrested for posing as a female on Facebook to solicit pictures of boys.
Oh.
And that happened a couple of, I'm sorry? What'd you say? Oh, okay, that's might said something. And that happened back, and they can date it back to 2008. But just this June, he was arrested, and of course he lost his job. But he was also the executive director of a track club in one of the counties here. And he was, of course, fired, but he was a director there. And they said they have the FBI that are still trying to uncode his computer because he had his files heavily coded. And even in his home, when he invited these people over, he had cameras spying on them in the restrooms and other places. And we send our children to school, of all places, to be safe, and you would think the school resource officer is the person that they would go to if they needed help, but he was the one that was actually hurting them. I mean, Heidi, your opinion on that? Wow. We'll save Heidi for last because she's going to give us the right way. Go on, Dawn Michelle. We're going to leave Heidi for last. We may even skip her. I mean, this guy here, he's a school resource officer, and he's on Facebook posing as a girl, soliciting boys. See, that's why you got to be careful, young men, asking boys to send nude pictures of themselves. Wow.
And the thing about it is that I know we think because he's a resource officer or whatever, but, we can't rule out who a possible pedophile could be. Regardless, because if we look back at some of the people who've been arrested, most of them are people that the children trust. Coaches or teachers or whatever, things of that nature. So it's not unusual that someone in his position, because they do surround themselves around children, even, ministers and missionaries. So, it's not shocking, but I feel like, we're saying he should still get treated with the same type of punishment that you or I would. That's maybe even harsher. I think I put police officers at a different standard because they're supposed to know the law. They're dealing with criminals every day, so and to me, when they commit a crime, it's more heinous than if I would commit the crime because they deal with it, and deal with those people, and they're supposed to protect and serve.
Correct.
Absolutely.
So it should be stiffer penalties for them, not easier penalties, but stiffer penalties. I agree.
Yeah.
Dawn Michelle?
I'm just, I don't even really have anything to say right now. I was really just listening.
Heidi?
It's crazy.
For me, there's no, everything y'all was saying, I'm on board with what you're saying. I do feel like when you are in a position or authority, you should be held more accountable than the next person who, is technically not in your position. But this is the issue that I just want to put out there. The problem with this whole scenario is, a lot of times in my business, we have to ask children, who can you trust? And when they do their list, usually it's mommy or daddy, if it's a mommy or daddy, or grandma or uncle or aunt, and then it's usually the teacher, and then it's the police officer. The problem with that is now a lot of kids, when we ask them that question, are confused, and this sends all these crazy mixed messages. So what I have been, and this is just an education piece for the parents out there, what I've advised parents to do is not just ask your kids who they trust, but to sit down and do a little safety plan with them, and to tell them that no matter who it is they talk to them about their parts and whatnot, and no matter who you are, teacher, officer, whatever, the youth pastor, no one can touch these parts other than mommy who's helping you, use the bathroom or wash or whatever. And even with that, that's a slippery slope, because you guys know that parents can molest kids as well. But in general, I'm just putting that out there, because at this point, when I walk around town, everybody's a perp to me, and that's just because I'm in this business. I look at everybody kind of side-eye. And I've been in this business for 12 years. Seriously. And I don't care who you are, youth pastor or whatever. I just kind of look at everybody a little funny. And I hate to feel that way, because we didn't used to be that way.
Mm-hmm. You're right. Absolutely. Absolutely. But you have to. You have to keep your guard up, because before it wasn't like that. When we grew up, you could go out and you could hang out with your friends and go to your friends' house. But even then, when we grew up, we weren't allowed to sit on anybody's lap. You weren't allowed to stay close to someone. You took your clothes into the bathroom when you took your shower. There was no such thing as walking out with towels. I mean, there were certain things that we just did. You didn't put yourself in a position.
And that's the problem with the abuse of power, Shay. That's the big problem, like we're talking about. When you're in trouble and you run to the police, and then next thing you know, you getting shot down, beat up, handcuffed, no pun intended. I'm just putting it out there from last week's show. I'm just saying, I mean, that's the problem. Because now the people that you're supposed to be able to trust, you can't. So then what? You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Like the state says, who can I run to?
Right.
Who can I run to? We might want to hear that on break. Who can I run to? But it's true. Who do you go to? Who can you trust?
Right.
We have these coaches who train our children in sports. It's supposed to teach them discipline and teamwork, and they turn out to be the ones abusing them. And they feel that they've done something wrong. Right, Boy Scouts. Someone you think you can trust your kids with. If you're a single parent, you're looking to that coach. You're looking to that teacher, that after-school program, or that Boys and Girls Club, somewhere where you're feeling like your child's getting that extra care. Yeah, they get an extra care, all right, and you find out years later that your child was abused, and then you feel like a failure.
And what our folks need to know out there is, not getting off topic, but anybody who's in that business of helping in those types of organizations, those are the organizations that a pedophile, the correct term is actually pedophile, medically. Those are the types of organizations that they're going to target to get jobs with for that very reason, because they know there's a bunch of single mothers or single fathers who have children in those organizations who don't have a second parent to be their role model.
Right.
I'm just keeping it real.
Right. Just like this gentleman here who was a school resource officer. He was executive director of the track and field club. I mean, where else? Where else would he go?
Right.
That was pardon the term, but that was a smorgasbord for him. That's where all the kids were, male and female.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they look for. Like she was saying earlier, that they're going to go and they're going to try to exemplify themselves in such a way that people don't suspect them.
Right.
Right.
Right. And that's the sad part. That's the sad part of it. Even here in Georgia last week, they had a sheriff. He was arrested for solicitation of a minor boy for sex on the internet. And he's a sheriff. Again, abuse of power. You tell our children, it's my boss, you go to a police officer. You go to a police officer, you can always trust him, the cop. But now, can you really? Even with teachers, I mean, the teachers are only a few years older than some of the students. You know, you go to school, teachers are 22 and 23. Some of the students are 17, 18. In theory, they could really date each other. I mean, with 3-4 years difference.
And they are.
Right. So how do you draw that line? I mean, you know, so you have a 23-year-old teacher and you have a 17-year-old student, a male student. You know, I see and I've heard men say, man, I wish my teacher did look like so-and-so. I would have never told my mom. But you wouldn't say that if your daughter was looking at her male teacher.
And that you know, that's a whole nother issue.
And a whole nother show.
Right, we said that's another show.
But it still goes back to accountability and people who are in charge are in, you know, people who are in charge should be accountable for their actions. And
should there be an age limit, you think, Alicia?
I think there should be an age limit, but like they've already put in place where teachers can't have sex with students anyway, because that's an abuse of authority.
But they do it. I mean, what do you mean they put into effect?
They do it, but they get jail time for it. They lose their jobs for it. So there's something in place, and I just believe that people should follow those rules, because you cannot be an instructor over someone and have a sexual relationship with them, and everything is going to be normal or okay. I just don't think a child can always differentiate. Please say it on the Heidi. Thank you. From the situation, you know. So it's like, because of that, you're taking options away from that child.
Absolutely. But there's laws in place for everything, but we continually break them, even when we are going to be penalized for it. You know, because, I mean, with the case before, the lady that had sex with the young man, and she had 2 babies by him, went to jail. When she got out, she got pregnant again, had their second child by him.
Yeah.
You know?
Are we talking about the white teacher that started the big hoopla in Washington? We're talking about her? Yeah, well, she ended up marrying him. They didn't just have a child.
Yeah, they got married.
They got married.
It's crazy.
Yes. They got married when she got Mary Latano. That was her name. They got married when she got out.
What?
Wow. Yeah. Absolutely.
Someone said you should have to be over 30 to work at a high school. I tend to agree with that. There should be an age limit. You shouldn't be in your 20s. When you graduate and you're in your 20s, you should have to work with kindergartners or, you know, elementary school. Exactly.
You know, my mom said, you know, she's in her 70s, and she said this is not something new. It happened when she was younger, too, that teachers would have sex with children. So it's nothing new. Yes.
So it used to happen back in the day. Maybe I'm being naive by thinking that I just never would have thought that happened back in the day.
Well, see, back then they would keep everything hush hush and send the girls off.
Right.
You know, when they got pregnant. So the same thing. It just didn't happen as often then as it does now. Well, then again, I take that back, because now we have Facebook. We have social media, we have internet, we have all these outlets, media outlets, that, you know, everything is known now, and everybody is suing now. So everybody's expressing things. So we know more now because everything is so open to us. But, you know, the same thing happened. You know, people always talk about the good old days, but the same things happen. It may not have happened in abundance, but it still happened. Women having abortions, teenagers having babies. You know, it's just sometimes the mother will raise the baby as her own, or send the teenager up north or down south, or whichever one, and then she'll come back and no one ever knew she was pregnant. I mean, nothing is any different now than it was then, except for the fact that it's not as public. It is more publicized now than it was then. So.
I tend to agree with Alicia. I remember being in high school, and our activities director got busted on a bed case for sleeping with 2 students in our school. And what was bad was he was the pool director, so we spent a lot of time in his office, and he used to take us like after games and stuff to y'all know the buffet places. I can't think of the name the place we used to go to in Florida, but he'd take us to the buffets and stuff, and I go call my mom and say, hey, I'm out with Mr. Such and Such. He took us out after the game. And it was so funny because my mom would always be like, well, are there other students around? Are you okay or whatever? And I'd be like, yeah, it's just Mr. Such and Such. And then like 6 months later, he got busted.
Wow. And are you talking? Wait, Heidi, are you talking about Quincy's and Lions? Is that what you're talking about? The buttons?
Yeah. Like he would take a group of us. You know how you had a student right for them yeast rolls. You know how you had a student activities office that did student stuff, and that's who he was. He was the activities director. And so, he got busted, and all of us was looking like, oh, my God, we was hanging out with him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And one of the students, he got her pregnant. That's how he got busted.
What?
OMG. I had a teacher back in elementary school the same way. And we never liked him in elementary school because he always seemed seedy and, had this kind of way about him and a way of saying things that we even knew at that age that it was inappropriate. But after we graduated from elementary school and middle school and maybe high school high school, I think we had graduated, and we saw him out, he wanted to take us out for pizza or something, and we were like, pizza? No, we're good. Well, one of my friends went out and was like, well, you come with me. He's like, oh, hey, it's good to see you. Let's catch up. And we're thinking, okay, we're grown now. It's just our teacher wanting to wrong. That was totally not what he was interested in, and we were appalled. And won't tell you exactly what we told him, but I wonder if he's still alive. I think I'll try to see if I can find him on Facebook. But he was inappropriate. And then after we got grown, we had a conversation with some other students and found out that he had those similar conversations with them after they became grown. So, in essence, he was about nothing. And I just wonder what his legacy was really at that school.
I am so glad that I don't have any stories like that. Like, I don't know of any teachers, in high school or anything that happened to them. The only story I have, and this probably don't even count, is because it was college. I actually found out that my college advisor was very fond of me, and he didn't tell me until years and years later. But honestly, when I think about it, I'm like, well, if we had dated when I was in college, there really wouldn't have been anything wrong with it. He was only maybe.
I don't think professors are they allowed to even date.
Well, he wasn't.
They're not supposed to.
He wasn't a professor. He wasn't a professor. He was an advisor. He was an advisor.
No.
Student advisor for he was a student advisor for our extracurricular organizations that we were involved in and stuff like that. But
but y'all know we all in college did those things.
Yeah, but so that, like I said, I don't even really think that counts because, like I said, I know he would not have. That's why he waited years and years and years later to tell me. But he was such an upstanding, good guy that he never would have took that. He never would even tried me then, So.
Wow.
Well, at least he showed some restraint, because there was a lot of professors and coaches that don't and got busted when I was in college for all kinds of seedy stuff. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter whether you're in college, high school, elementary. You're still in a position where you're over a student.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's why I think that's why he didn't tell me. Yeah, I think that's why he didn't tell me because he respected his position, he respected his job, and he was not going to risk his job because he had a crush on a student. That don't even make no sense.
Right. Right.
Wow. Okay. Well, ladies, we got to take a break, but we're going to come back and we're going to wrap this up. But we'll be right back. Stay with the ladies at A Queen's Eye View, and we're talking about holding the powerful and influential accountable. I'm Shay.
I'm Alicia Coleman.
I'm Dawn Michelle.
And I'm Heidi.
And we're A Queen's Eye View, and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Everyone needs a way to add gold to their financial portfolio. Carrot Bars International makes gold affordable to the masses with the freegoldplan.com. Get gold in 24-karat 999.9% pure gold bullion in small affordable weights. Save your money in gold and even get paid to share with others how to do the same. No broker fees, no setup fees, and with referrals, your gold can be free. Go to thefreegoldplan.com. That's thefreegoldplan.com now.
Oh, this has been a day I want to forget. From not finding my keys, to running late for my big meeting, then having the client cancel the meeting, to my boss wanting to revamp the entire proposal this weekend. This is really a day for a hot tub and a big glass of my tranquility wine.
The skilled winemakers of countryside vineyards craft quality muscadine grapes into fine wine. Known for their distinctive flavors and characters, these hybrid southern grapes create a sweet class of robust wine. So the next time you're out, ask for Tranquility Wines or order yours online today by visiting them at floridavineyard.com.
Now this is just what I needed. Tranquility Wine. Why can't everything be this relaxing?
Tranquility Wines, for those times when nothing else matters. Please enjoy responsibly, and remember, you must be 21 years old to drink.
Stokes and Matthews Media is a boutique media company that specializes in vision coaching, publishing, and marketing for authors, experts, and small business owners. It is the mission of Nadia Matthews and Nicole Stokes to show aspiring writers and seasoned authors how to build lucrative brands using their books as the foundation. Before the company's official launch in September 2014, Stokes and Matthews Media will be offering free online workshops and interviews with industry experts, ebooks, and discounted first-time consultations for individuals who desire to get on the company's 2014-2015 roster. Stokes and Matthews Media is also scouting experienced individuals in the literary publishing, PR, marketing, promotions, and event planning industries to join the team on a freelance and/or internship basis. If you would like to learn more about Stokes and Matthews Media or learn how you can advertise with us, please send a detailed email to info@stokesandmatthewsmedia.com or visit www.stokesandmatthewsmedia.com. Stokes and Matthews Media, where your project is our passion.
Honey, what are we going to do with all these bills? It doesn't make any sense. We make more than enough money to cover everything, but we're still in a hole.
Let's check out Madam Money.
Madam Money? Who is that?
She is a financial expert who helps people like us set and reach our financial goals.
This is great. With her help, we can do all the things that we talked about.
That's right. Now we can take that vacation we've always wanted and not feel stressed.
Hi, this is Tara Jackson, also known as Madam Money, and I can help you clear up all of your financial diseases and those pesky financial STDs.
See, this is why I love you.
Yes, I know.
So check out Madam Money online at tarajackson.com. TARRA Jackson.com.
Lisa, you've been staring at that computer screen for 30 minutes. What's wrong?
Oh, it's my new marketing campaign. I want to tell people how great my business is, but I don't know what to say. I need copy for the website, newsletters, and brochure, and I'm drawing a blank. Writing just isn't my thing.
My boss had the same problem, and he called Put It in Writing Professional Writing Service.
Put it in writing? What's that?
It's a business just for people who need copywriting but don't have the budget for the big marketing and PR firms. They help my company tell everyone about the great products and services we offer through our website. And when my cousin recorded his CD, Put It in Writing wrote his bio and press release. They even do resumes.
That's good to know, because I'll be looking for a job if this business doesn't take off.
Don't worry. Call the professionals at Put It in Writing at 901-359-6629 and check out the website at putitinwriting2.com. That's putitinwriting, the numeral 2.com.
Hello, and welcome back to A Queen's Eye View. We've been talking this evening about holding the powerful and influential accountable. And it's been a great show and exciting so far. And we've talked a little bit about the police department. You know, we've talked about school resource officers. And now we're just going to talk briefly about politicians. But before we do, we're going to give out the phone number again. And we ask you guys to call in and talk with us a little bit. 678-701-3738. That's 678-701-3738. Or join us online at skycitymg.com/talk. That's skycitymg.com/talk. But before we go in, Heidi's got an announcement she wanted to make. Heidi, you there?
Yes, I am, and I do. Actually, here at Jericho Broadcast in Sky City, we have our networking family has a great announcement. One of our young ladies who does a show here called Urban America Today, as well as what they say they want. She has just had a beautiful baby girl. And her baby girl is named Aria Gabrielle, and we want to send much congratulations from the ladies here at A Queen's Eye View, and to her family and her husband. We wish you guys the best and a healthy, happy life.
Congrats, Shante. Congrats, Lee. We wish you the best on your baby.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love the new baby smell. And then they turn 22, and then you don't like how they smell.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome. Congrats. Okay, everybody. Again, the telephone number here is 678-701-3738. That's 678-701-3738. I'm Shay.
Alicia Coleman.
I'm Dawn Michelle.
And I'm Heidi.
And we're the four women at A Queen's Eye View. Now, we're going to wrap up this first segment about holding the powerful and the influential accountable, but I just wanted to talk really quick about last week, actually this week past, former Mayor Marion Barry. You guys remember him?
Yep.
Yes. He was caught up in a few things. He had, I think it was $2,800 worth of tickets that he hadn't paid. And
oh, wow.
Right. And one of the reporters was interviewing him, and he was very upset and belligerent about the fact that she was bothering him and that she had no right to talk to him, and she needed to go somewhere and sit down. And she says, well, I'm just reporting the news as I hear it.
that you were able to register your car and you have $2,800 in outstanding parking and moving violations. Now, I know you or I, if we try to register our car with a parking ticket, it wouldn't happen.
Right. And
You know.
his license should have been suspended too.
Hello?
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the point I'm going to make. We wouldn't be allowed to drive around with suspended license. And the tickets were for parking tickets in D.C., and he said he was on official business. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but is he still mayor?
Heck no. No.
I just want to know what official business does he have in D.C. And I'm just wondering, if maybe he's doing something I don't know. Because I don't live in D.C.
Wow.
Irregardless. Whether he's, we don't know his business, that's true. So I'm not going to say he wasn't doing it. He didn't. I'm not going to say that he didn't have official business. But really, to me, that doesn't even matter. Because if you had $2,800 in parking/moving violation tickets, dude, like, seriously? Like you said, say like, no, nobody, our license would be suspended, and you would not be able to get your license reinstated until all of the tickets were paid. Every last.
Exactly.
So can I just put something out there? Let me just put something out there for these public officials and dignitaries and politicians. When I was in college, my president was not able to drive himself around due to some past DUI history and license issues. So he got a driver. Why you people can't just get you a driver instead of getting caught up in the craziness? I'm just saying, just putting it out there. I'm sorry.
But then he said, but now he wanted, I'm sorry, go ahead, Alicia, I'm sorry.
I was saying they just make it hard for themselves. I don't know. Or they don't want to, like we've been talking about, they don't believe they're accountable for the actions. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
Right. I think he thinks he's still mayor. And when he was mayor, maybe he had a driver and he didn't realize that he no longer could park at fire hydrants, and he was running red lights. And I'm just saying, well, where do they do that at, as they say? I mean, I don't get that. And he said he wanted everyone to know that his tickets had been paid. And he even had some supporters come forth and say, oh, hey, we'll pay your tickets. So he said. And but he has settled the tickets. He said he paid, I think it was $1,800, and over $1,000 of it was waived by one of the hearing examiners. Now, I never heard of $1,000 worth of tickets being waived. I'm just saying, for you and I, they only want to waive $10, a late fee. You know, if you mailed it and it arrived a day late, they don't even want to waive that. You know, but he's driving his Jaguar, and he said it's now properly registered, and he doesn't have any more tickets outstanding. But over the weekend, he had an accident this past weekend. So he said, again, the reporter is trying to interview him, and he says, well, I'm a long-time diabetic. He said, and I felt my blood sugar dropping. So I pulled immediately, this is his quote, and I immediately pulled to the side of the road and ate candy to elevate my sugar level. I felt a little better. From there, I began driving again, but I became disoriented and confused, and I was driving on the wrong side of the road, and I encountered a minor fender bender. Okay, so most times when you are, and he says, thanks be to God, this could have been fatal. So I thank God for his mercy, because the outcome could have been worse. Now, they say under the city regulations, if you're diabetic, you have to have a vision report on your driver's license or a doctor's report to support that, especially because he's over 70 years old. But he's never gone to the medical board for an evaluation. He's never had anything to say any of that. But he wasn't ticketed for that either.
Oh, God.
Wow. Now, I have, and I don't know, I didn't even know that you're supposed to have some sort of documentation, because I've actually wrecked 2 cars from my blood sugar dropping while I was driving. So And both times, nobody else, thank goodness, both times I did not hit or nobody else was involved in the accident. I was driving and blacked out the first time, which was when I was in college, and my car just ran off the side of the road and hit a meter pole. It messed me up pretty bad, and it totaled my car. I had to go to the emergency room, but nobody else was involved. And the second time, same thing. Like, second time I didn't hit anybody, nothing happened. But, so I only say that, I'm not trying to, like, give him any cool points.
Right.
But I know that it is definitely possible. So, but see, my whole thing is, okay, he should not, see now if I'm driving and I feel my blood sugar dropping, I go to the drugstore immediately. See, back in the day, I'd be like, oh, I'm okay, I can go a little bit long. No, now, as soon as I feel it, I stop, I go get two juices. And I just stay in the parking lot of the gas station, and usually I drink one, and I'll just sit there. I don't care if I'm supposed to be somewhere. If I have to be late, it's gonna be what it is, because I'm not gonna start moving that car until I know that my blood sugar is okay. And then I'm gonna check my blood sugar before I start back driving, so that way I know I'm good. So him, like, he really wasn't very smart about that. If he felt his blood sugar dropping and he pulled over and ate something, first of all, he shouldn't eat anything because it's going to take your body longer to metabolize that. He should have drank something because that gets your blood sugar up quicker, number one. Number two, he should have checked his blood sugar before he started back driving to make sure he was okay. So then the fender bender would have never happened.
Right.
So, and if he's been diabetic for a long time, just like I have, I've been diabetic since I was 15. So at some point, you got to be smart about, your decisions. So,
Sounds like
really don't get no pass
to me for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's just trying to be above the law and not about the law, and just thinking that he's still the mayor and he can do as he wants to do.
Right.
But and they said that, certain states require certain evaluations, and then he came back and said he had the proper medical clearance, so we'll see. But anyway, that was just that tidbit I found very interesting, that started with the fines, and then he had an accident after all of that, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm going to keep an eye on Marion Barry, just kind of see what he's up to, because I'm sure we got to the last of him. I'm sure something else is going to come out of that. I'm sure it will. But you keep an eye on your...
I appreciate that information.
Me too. That's what I was saying. No, you're good. No, go ahead. You're good. Yeah, you're good.
I appreciate that info.
Right. If I see somebody swerving, I'm just going to fall back a little bit.
Exactly.
I won't get so upset with them. I just think maybe it could be something like that. But if I see Marion Barry behind the wheel, I'm getting the heck off the road.
Exactly.
Getting the heck off the road. Well, that's going to be the end of our first part of our segment, holding the powerful and influential accountable. But we're getting ready to go right into our next segment, which is, again, near and dear to me. See it on social media. We've heard about it on the news, the Ice Bucket Challenge. And you guys, I'm sure, have heard about the Ice Bucket Challenge. Have any of you done that yet?
I did it.
You did?
I did it this past Friday. Before I did it Friday at work, because we were all doing a challenge at my job. So I did it Friday at work before the Labor Day holiday. Yes.
Awesome. And when the Ice Bucket Challenge came around just, a few months ago, I saw it on social media, and I saw the posting, and it said, this is for ALS. And I'm looking, I said, ALS? That can't be for the ALS I know. I've never heard of anybody doing anything for ALS. What's this about? Kind of like everybody else. Like, why are they putting that up there about ALS? And do you ladies know what ALS is?
Well, I know I know it's Lou Gehrig's disease, but that's not the medical terminology for it.
Right. Alicia, you there with us?
Shay.
Huh? Break it down.
Break it down, Shay.
Give us the correct definition.
The correct definition is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS. And what it is, it's a disease of the nerve cells. It's in the brain and spinal cord, and it controls your voluntary muscle movement. And it's also known, as you said, Dawn Michelle, as Lou Gehrig's disease. Okay, and we say, well, I've never heard of ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, and who gets it? Well, I never really heard of it either. I heard years ago, Lou Gehrig's disease. 70 years ago, in my house, we watched baseball, so I heard of it that way. But in 2008, I heard of it another way, a way that, you never could imagine hearing it, from a doctor telling my father that he was diagnosed with ALS. So, when you hear something, I'm thinking, ALS, well, Lou Gehrig, what exactly is that? I knew that's the thing where the man can't really move, where he's in a wheelchair, where he can't move around. His functions, his brain is there, but his body's gone. That's kind of how I understood it to be. No, I didn't know the proper medical terms. No, I didn't know all of the things that I know now, but I knew that it was a horrible disease. So what happened was, prior to that, 2006, as we look back, my dad started to notice some differences in his body, but nothing that as you get older, you think it's arthritis or, just getting old and just creaks in your bones. Things just don't work the way they used to. Well, after going to the doctor back and forth and noticing that, his arms were weaker, couldn't hold his arms up as much anymore. And it's like, well, what's going on? And, trying to get tests. And because of there not being a lot of information, because of there not being enough trials being done, nobody knew, so it took a little longer to diagnose. Well, finally, round about near the end of 2008, they came back with ALS. And we started to see a slow deterioration, but it was nothing quick, but noticeable. Well, we got the prognosis that you normally live 2 to 5 years with this. I'm saying 2 to 5 years, well, and then you start looking at the calendar thinking, okay, well, 2008 now, so does that mean 2010? And then I started to research that, and not even immediately because I didn't want to, I'm thinking, well, no, that can't be, it's just something else. But I found out that this ALS is a disorder that affects, like I said, your nerves and your muscles. And it said that it's about 5,600 people are diagnosed each year with ALS. Now, that may not seem like a lot of people, but in actuality, it is. 16 cases a day. And it says 30,000 Americans have the disease at any given time. But now think about this. If you only live 2 to 5 years with it, if all those people lived, how many people would actually have it? You follow me?
Right. Yeah, that's very true.
So,
but because it's kind of a, it's kind of a disease where, you really aren't, you can live, but at some point it's going to kill you, right?
Absolutely. It's a terminal illness. And what it does is it basically shuts your body down. It affects every aspect of your life. The only thing that is not shut down is your brain. So you are fully aware of what your body is going through. And with my dad, it affected his arm first. So therefore, the first thing he was not able to do fully was to feed himself, scratch his head, to move his arms. Anything that you currently do with your arms now, your nose itch, what do? You scratch it. You want to open the door, what do you do now? You reach for it. Those are the simple things that he could no longer do. So the things that we take for granted, whether it's tying your shoe, buttoning your pants, those are the things that he could no longer do.
Yeah.
Now, you could still walk and move, but the one thing that you would need to do, which is to eat, to sustain yourself, how would you do that?
Right.
And one of the biggest farce, and I've gotten into several, I won't say arguments, but debates on social media, and I've met some, I won't call them friends, but acquaintances through this, is that it's a disease that affects Caucasians. Well, I had to let them know that my dad is not Caucasian.
Right.
So it doesn't only affect Caucasians. So our young lady was saying, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask a question, though, Shay. I was just going to ask, but is it true that it
is it true that it affects men and Caucasians more prevalently than it does African Americans? Is that true?
Yes. To date, that is true. The cases that are there, the cases that have been studied, the cases that have been diagnosed, it is true that it affects males and whites more than it does African Americans and females. That is correct.
Right, but it's just like sickle cell anemia. Yes, everybody pretty much knows that sickle cell anemia is a disease that more African Americans get, but that doesn't mean that you can't get it if you're not African American.
Correct.
So
correct.
So I can definitely understand you being like, come on now, you being a little close-minded.
Right, and that's exactly right, because just because those cases may not be reported, or they may not know, or guess what, they may not have the means to go and find out what they're exactly suffering from until it's actually too late, or they may not be included in on those trials. ALS I found was 20% more common, like you said, in men than it is in women. And, it normally happens between the ages of 40 and 70, but it can happen as young as in the early 20s. It can be hereditary. It has been traced back to veterans that have served in wars. If you've been deployed, military veterans, particularly those that have been deployed during the Gulf War, they're twice as likely to develop ALS. In Guam, in that country, there are alarming statistics of, they call them Guamians, that have ALS in Guam. And they say that half of the people affected with ALS live usually 2 to 5 years after they're diagnosed. And only 20% live 5 years or more. And only 10% will live more than 10 years. And the 10%, they have a very slow progressing form of ALS. But my dad, to God be the glory, was diagnosed in 2008, and it's 2014, and he's still here. But he's in the stages now where it doesn't look so great. But we still trust God, though, because we know God has that final say. But with that being said, that when they started this ice bucket challenge and people began to participate, some knew what they were doing, some didn't know, and some claimed to have been the first ones to start it, and but I was so glad to see people like Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres, because these people have the money to make that difference. They can make that sizable donation. See, everybody's out there walking for breast cancer, autism, and diabetes, and I take nothing away from those diseases, because those diseases have affected family members and friends, and I have lost family members and friends to those same diseases. But ALS was one of those things that people didn't know anything about. So nobody contributed until it began to affect certain people. It affects athletes. I don't know if you've noticed now, but you hear more and more about athletes with it. Football players, golfers. So the people who have a lot of money, if they started this challenge, it started actually with a golfer. And then there's some debate about who actually started this ice bucket challenge, but it was actually not a golfer. It was actually a person that started it. And then a golfer picked up on it, and it kind of took that notoriety on the celebrity circuit. And that gave it its popularity. And everyone started to do this ice bucket challenge. And actually this past week at the doctor, where my dad goes to the ALS clinic in the Carolinas, the doctors and all of the nurses, they did the ice bucket challenge. And that's when we say, be the difference that you want to see. Because ALS is not contagious, and it can strike anyone. There's no social, racial, ethnic, or socioeconomic boundary. Nothing. And it starts as a muscle weakness or stiffness. And that now is the early signs. And basically it becomes a paralysis where you can't breathe, where you basically suffocate.
Wow.
So it's a horrible disease to watch. To be the patient is horrible, but to be a caregiver and a family member and watch someone that you love go through this. But I thank God again that my dad has the strong mind that he had, that he's rooted in the faith that he's rooted in, and he trusts God. Because I'm not so sure that I could do or go through what he goes through. When I see people and I hear people saying, oh, God, not the ice bucket challenge again, not the this again, not the that again, I tell people scroll past my timeline on Facebook or wherever you see me posted at, because this is important to me. Just like what you're going to drink this weekend is important to you, just like where you're going to vacation next week is important to you, this is important to me. So like my dad said, he said it may be too late for me, but I'm hoping that they find a cure for someone that's coming after me. And I just want everyone out there to know that you could be coming after him. So it will behoove all of us to pick up a cause, to get involved, to find out. You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm glad you chimed in on this, Shay, because I've seen posts that have said, I bet half of you people don't even know what the ALS is or what this ice bucket challenge is, but you're doing it. You're so stupid. I've seen posts like that, and my perspective was, so what if they don't know what it is? Every time they did it, somebody was donating some money to the cause.
That's right.
So, that was the position I took, even though it pissed some people off, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
How many times does somebody jump on a bandwagon on something on Facebook that they have no clue what it is? Everybody runs to World Star Hip Hop and comment on some fight on some people they don't even know, or whatever it is. I hope nobody knows what ALS is and they jump in on the Ice Bucket Challenge and donate money. But I'm just telling you, this is what it is. It's life-changing. And if you don't know anybody it affects and you know me, now you know somebody that it affects. It has forever changed and challenged my life. I'm losing my dad. And I know this. But you know what? I know that I have this time with him. It gives me the opportunity to do some things with him and say to him that I never would have known that I could do or say. I ask him and we talk and we have these real conversations now, and I wonder, is it easier knowing that you're going to die? We all know we are going to die, but knowing that we have a time limit or when the time may come. And I asked him this past weekend, I said, when I went home, I said, if you could do something differently, what would you do? And he said, I would travel more. I would live life more. I would know God better. I would go to church more. And in just those few statements that he made, I just looked at him. And take your time. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I think of all the years that we waste on trivial stuff. Mm-hmm. And all my dad wants to do is get up so that he can go to church and just thank God for his healing. But I told my dad, I said, you know what? God's going to heal you. It may not be how you want him to heal you, but he will heal you. He asked me this one question, and he says, what will you miss most about me? Now, I don't know how any of you would feel about somebody asking you that question, but I want you to take the time just to ponder that question. What would you miss about the person that you love more than anything? How would you answer that question? So the next time you see somebody posting something about ALS or any disease or anything they're suffering with, think about that. It may not affect you today, but it could affect you tomorrow. So I'm going to leave you with that. We're getting ready to take a break. We're going to be right back. Stay with us at A Queen's Eye View. I'm Shay. We've got Alicia Coleman. I'm Don Michelle.
And I'm Heidi.
And we'll be right back. And we're talking about ALS and how and who does it affect. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
It must have been cold there in my shadow. to never have sunlight on your face. You were content to let me shine. That's your way. You always walked a step behind. See, I was the one with all the glory, while you were the one with all the strength. Yes, you were. Only a face without a name. I never once heard you complain. No. Did you ever know that you're my hero? You're everything I would like to be. I could fly higher than an eagle. Yeah, yeah. 'Cause you are the wind beneath my wings. Yeah. It might have appeared to go unnoticed, but Daddy, 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 I've got it all right here in my heart. Yes, I can. And I want you to know, I know the truth. I know you know the truth about it. You know the truth now. I would be nothing without you. Yes, you. Did you ever know you're my hero? Yeah, yeah. You're everything I would like to be. You're a part of me. You're a part of me. I could fly higher than an eagle.
Hi, welcome back to A Queen's Eye View. We just took a quick break there, just a quick wipe my nose and get me together break. But I'm back and I'm ready, and I thank my radio sisters, Heidi, Dawn, and Alicia Coleman, and we're back and we're talking about ALS and various diseases and how it affects us. And Heidi's going to have a little segment here, and I'm going to sit back for a couple of minutes and I'm going to listen. So Heidi, you go ahead and take it away. Queen's Eye View.
Well, I just wanted to bring up this, since we're always trying to educate our community. Of course, I was on Famous WebMD. I found a really great article called Why 7 Deadly Diseases Strike Blacks Most, and it's called Healthcare Disparities Heighten Disease Differences Between African Americans and White Americans. So I wanted to kind of, without going into the whole article, kind of break down just a few quick statistics that I think our community should know. Diabetes is 60% more common in Black Americans than whites. Blacks are up to 2.5 times more likely to suffer from limb amputation and up to 5.6 times more likely to suffer from kidney disease than any other people with diabetes. That one is, I'm partial to that one because my father went blind and died of kidney failure due to diabetes, so I'm well aware of that one. African Americans are 3 times more likely to die of asthma than white Americans. Deaths from lung scarring, they call it sarcoidosis, are 16 times more common among blacks than whites. This disease recently killed the former NFL star Reggie White at the age 43. Despite lower tobacco exposure, black men are 50% more likely than white men to get lung cancer. Strokes kill 4 times more 35 to the 55-year-old black Americans than white Americans, and blacks have nearly twice the first-time stroke risk of whites. Blacks develop high blood pressure earlier in life and with much higher blood pressure levels than whites. Nearly 42% of black men and more than 45% of black women aged 20 and older have high blood pressure. Last but not least, cancer treatment is equally successful for all races, yet black men have a 40% higher cancer death rate than white men. African American women have 20% higher cancer death rate than white women. And then, of course, the article begins with the why. So, of course, they were breaking down the reasons. And I just wanted to share just a few things because I think these are things we are pretty much familiar with. But the bottom line is this, that they were talking about in the article that they know that a lot of this has to do with socioeconomics, your locale, the quality of living that you have, your access to health care, whether or not you have health insurance or not, whether or not you even go to a doctor or have ever been for any preventative care to even know if these things exist. But bottom line, they did acknowledge that a lot of these systems, which I thought I give the article credit for, they said a lot of the access was denied, and it was due to racial issues, whether they be socioeconomic or whether they be, lack of resources. So I just wanted to get those statistics out because our community, I'm looking up and I'm seeing people die younger and younger. I mean, I'm 41 years old. I've seen major celebrities and people go really early, but watching my dad suffer and deteriorate and drop from 240 pounds to 130 at his death due to the fact that he just didn't take care of his diabetes was a wake-up call for me, which is why I'm on my health journey now. And I just want our community to continue to be educated because I didn't even know my radio sister, Dawn Michelle, had diabetes, and it seems as though she was born with hers, which would be type 1 instead of type 2. But most of the cases of diabetes are type 2, which is we developed that because of poor choices and health choices and lack of exercise. So, I just wanted to put those statistics out there because also going back into the ALS piece, it does say that when we are not taking care of our bodies nutritionally, health-wise, exercise, and so forth, we are 65% more able to get these terminal illnesses, the ones you can't cure. And that's just because of how we're taking care of our health in general, not just because of your socioeconomic status or your locale. So I just wanted to give that information, Shay. Take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Heidi. That's great information. And like Heidi said, we do need to be informed of what's out there. And more so, we need to know what we can do to help prevent it, and eat better, exercise more, and just take care of ourselves, to put some preventative measures in place, to live longer. Because like she said, we are dying younger. We are dying younger. And we have to be the difference, again, that we want to see. We have to be the difference that we want to see. And getting back to ALS, I'm just going to say the Ice Bucket Challenge actually started, one of the founders of it was a gentleman named Chris Kennedy. And he was a professional golfer on a minor league in West Florida. And he started this because he was assigned a challenge to complete. And if he didn't, he had to put a bucket of ice water over his head. So this was harmless. It was philanthropic. And if he didn't complete this challenge in 24 hours, he was required to make a donation to his favorite charity. So he passed it on to someone else, who passed it on to someone else. And by the time it got to another gentleman, he had given it to his wife's cousin. And his wife's cousin's husband actually suffered from ALS. So, of course, since she was already raising money for ALS in support of her husband, her challenge, therefore, became ALS. So once they started it, their neighbors started doing it, their family and friends started doing it, and she began to post it onto Facebook. And she connected it to ALS, which was her nonprofit organization, because this was a disease that thus far has no cure, thus far has very little recognition. There's not a lot of money for the clinical trials. And once she did that, They lived in Pelham, New York, a little suburban town, upstate New York, and she got involved. Then her husband's 3 brothers got involved. They got their old high school friends, the teachers in the neighborhood, and before you know it, the entire community was doing it. And then somebody saw it on Facebook, and then I think it was a professional football player may have seen it. Then he got involved, and that's how it went from there and got into the celebrity circuit. So it didn't start out as being a ALS ice bucket challenge. It started out as being a challenge between a golfer on something else. And it was like, well, if you don't do this, you have to donate to your favorite charity. So it's kind of like the telephone game. It went down a line, and everybody did it for their charity. So when people are talking about, what's this ice bucket challenge? I don't know anything about it. I'm not doing it for that. You don't have to, and you didn't have to. But the one thing I do say is that just because you don't understand it or you don't know what it is, don't talk bad about it because you don't know who it affects and how it affects them. You know?
Absolutely.
You have to think about that it affects someone or else it wouldn't exist. I wish it didn't affect anyone. Because when we go to that clinic and you see the different levels, you see the beginning stages when people walk in and they're feeling still good and they're looking around and you see the horror. When I first went to that clinic the first time and my dad was able to walk in on his own, actually drive himself to the clinic. And I'm thinking, surely he's not going to be like this. You know, surely not. And, well, I can tell you now, here it is, 9 years later almost, well, from 2006 to now, but yeah, he is one of those. And when we see new people come in, and sometimes we go back to the clinic and you don't see the person that you started out with and you heard that they passed away. You almost don't feel so bad for them because you know they're no longer suffering.
Right.
So there's a thin line in that. And you just have to make the peace to the God of your understanding. And that's very difficult, but I just thank God for his discernment and his wisdom that my dad and I, we're able to have those conversations, about when the hour has come or when the hour is coming. And that's just how much we trust God, that we can talk about that. And I don't know how many people can have that conversation, because he really can't have that conversation with my mom because after 54 years of marriage, you don't want to know that you're going to lose the person that you've known for so long. And I got to give a shout out to my mom as well because I don't know very many women that'll stick by you if you lose a job, let alone if you lose the activity of all your limbs. So it gives new meaning when you go to church and you hear the pastor or the prayer leader say, thank God for the use of all my limbs. And, we shout and raise our hands. But let me tell you something. When I go to church and I shout and raise my hands now, I do it with new meaning, new vigor, because I know what that means. Because I'm not only standing and raising my hands for myself, but I'm standing in the gap for my Father. But I just say to those of you out there, if you don't know what something is, take a moment, ask a question. Don't be so judgmental because you never know who and how it affects someone. Read up on it. Again, be the difference that you want to see. There's such limited resources out there for research in clinical trials. There's no incentive really for government drug companies to really get heavily involved in this at this point because, like we all know, it's so few people technically that are affected by ALS. 30,000 people. I mean, that could be in, 2 communities here in Atlanta, 30,000 people. Mm-hmm. That could be one community. So that's not really an incentive for the government and drug companies to invest money and resources into finding a cure or controlling it, because I don't really think they're trying to find a cure for even really cancer. At this point, you would think they would have one. So is there more money in treating a disease than curing a disease?
Absolutely. Absolutely, right. There is, and that is something that I've heard a lot of people talk about. That's why there aren't cures for certain things because it's the money. I mean, I think me being diabetic. Oh, now I am a type 1, so supposedly there's a juvenile diabetes foundation where they are raising money for the cure for type 1 because type 1 is more genetic. It's not based off of bad eating habits, et cetera, weight gain, that kind of stuff. It's a genetic thing, so they're trying to find a cure for type 1. And my whole thing is, okay, but if y'all find a cure for type 1, I'm not going to have to buy insulin anymore. I'm not going to have to go to the doctor and you think of all of the number of people and all of the money that they receive from people who have to buy it, because when you're type 1, you're insulin dependent, period. You have to have insulin. There's no getting around that. So you're going to, all of the money that they're going to lose from all the people who have to keep, to keep their life going on a day-to-day basis because they have to have their insulin, the money that they're going to lose is going to be way more than if they found a cure for it. So I don't, even though I used to be very hopeful that they would find a cure for type 1 before my days, I don't even think about it anymore. I just say, you know what, Dawn, you got to take care of yourself so that you can live a long, normal, healthy life with your illness, and you'll be fine. Because I just really don't believe, I just really don't believe that they're going to find a cure, because it's going to cut too much money. And that's not just diabetes. That's a lot of diseases. So,
it's most of them.
Yeah.
Well, can I put a conspiracy theory out there? Sorry, this is Heidi. Y'all know I always throwing a twist.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of mysterious deaths of scientists and labs who have supposedly put out there in the media and on the net specifically that they have found cures for diseases in certain stages. It's always interesting to me how they either end up dying, murdered, their plane crashed, something happened. And I bring that to your attention because when we were in college and Magic, came down with AIDS, when he was diagnosed with HIV, one of our professors sent him a letter, because I worked in a psychology program, about the drug Interferon. Anybody who knows anything about AIDS or HIV has heard of Interferon. Interferon was a drug that was developed in Africa by a very famous doctor in a laboratory, and he had said to have cured AIDS or HIV in its first stage. And so, my professor sent a letter to Magic to tell him about it. Interestingly enough, Magic took a trip over to Africa, just putting it out there. Never, ever has ever put out there that what it was for. But then a couple of, about a year or so later, I hear that the man's lab was destroyed and burned to the ground, and that he was killed. And I'm just simply saying, I mean, we live in a capitalistic country, and it's all about profit margin. And how many of y'all believe, I mean, most of the cures and things, and most of the drugs we get come from the nature and the woods and the plants and the things that are out there naturally as it is. So if they do discover things, I just don't believe people ever want anybody to really know, which is why I believe, and I'm just putting this out there, that, certain scientists and doctors always downplay natural lifestyles, supplements, minerals, things that that we did old school anyway, because we didn't have access to fancy medicines. And it seems interesting that our people lived a long, long life on those herbs and on those minerals. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just putting it out there that I don't think that the capitalistic country we live in wants us to find those, the D, whoever them people are, the drug administration people. Yeah, I was questioned as far as I could throw in. I'm just being honest.
No, but you're right. You hit on the head, and I agree with you. I agree.
So,
like I said, there's more money in treating a disease than curing a disease. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. The holistic.
That's why I'm always thinking of, or when she was talking about the natural stuff, I didn't realize how good the apple cider vinegar was, and I didn't know that the apple cider vinegar can actually help diabetics keep their blood sugars better controlled. So I actually just started doing that a couple weeks ago. So I was like, that's something natural that I can do. And whenever I find something that I think is going to benefit me, that's a natural, thing that's going to help my illness, then I'm all about it. Because, I mean,
absolutely,
clearly I do have to have my insulin, yeah, and that is a drug. But, if there's some natural things that can help as well, then I'm all about it, because I'm not trying to be on 50 million pills,
right,
ever. Just the insulin.
Absolutely.
Just insulin. That's it. So
now with the ALS, you know that the first drug that they found that was able to alter the course of ALS was just approved in 1995.
Wow.
Through the Drug Administration trials, of course.
FDA, the first. I mean, really? And this drug was shown to scientifically to prolong the life of a person with ALS by a few months, and that was from 1995. Okay, but now that's why I said these clinical trials and the donations and the money, and I just hats off to the doctors and the people who tirelessly go into these labs to try things, to research for all of these diseases that we have. But of course, since we're talking about ALS and where we are with this now, but to say in 1995, late 1995, it's called, I might mispronounce it, but it's RILUZOLE. It was the first treatment that they found that altered the course of ALS. And I'm saying 1995. I mean, and since then they've worked with it, and it's been shown that if you start using it in the early stages of ALS, it's been known to help keep the symptoms or prolong it, I guess, to help you stretch it out, if that makes sense, prolong your survival, because there's no cure for it, because it's the inevitable. Sometimes you hear about cancer and things like that. It goes into remission, and, you have chemo, you have different things like that. But there's nothing with ALS that stops it. They haven't found anything that stops it. They have things that they believe slows it down. But again, is it attributed to your lifestyle? Like, my dad was active. He rode his bike. He walked. He ate well. So has that helped him? You know what I mean? Has that given him from that two to 5 to now we're into the 6th year? You know what I'm saying? So has that helped?
Wow.
So these things just, slows it down. It doesn't stop it. It just makes it slow. So it's just important to remember that, I know that with this disease, no two people will have the same journey or the same experiences. I understand that, and it is my wish and my desire that nobody will ever have to go through this, and again, like my dad says, it may be too late for him, but I'm trusting God, and I'm trusting the people that are donating. I'm trusting the scientists that there will be a cure for this. But I'm still trusting God, and I'm still believing in my dad's healing, because I'm not giving up on him, because I know God has that final say, and I'm going to stand in the gap. I'm going to continue to pray, and I'm going to continue to believe that God will rest, rule, and abide, and stand up in him and stand up for him. So I believe that. But I just ask you guys out there, whatever your cause, whatever disease, whatever it is that you guys believe in, fight for it. Join a cause. Donate, volunteer your time, your talent, or your treasure. Again, as we say each week, be the difference you want to see. That's what I'll leave you with. And to my dad, Leroy Johnson, I love you. To my mom, Gladys Johnson, you are a warrior. I love you. Even to my son, I just thank him for being who he is and where he is, helping out my parents and his grandparents. And I just thank everyone for the support. Ladies, your closing remarks. I love you guys too, and I thank you guys for being who you are. My radio sisters, my friends, and just, standing up there for me and in the gap for me. I appreciate you guys so very much. So very much.
Thank you. Well, I just encourage us to, take care of ourselves and try new things, and I know try new things that may be a little bit better for you, and just, step into it. You may have to take baby steps, but that's okay. At least it's a step. So, that we can become a healthier society, a healthier race, a healthier country, a healthier everything, because, That's really important, to your life and your well-being and your happiness and all of those things. So I just encourage everybody to, try to take some little steps just to be a little bit healthier. Amen. I agree. Alicia?
Yeah, I just want to say, first of all, we want people in authority to be accountable, but we should also be accountable for our actions and stand up on what we have done ourselves and not make excuses. So if the authority figures can't do it, let's lead by example, with just starting with us. Absolutely. And just changing the face of a generation. And I would also like to say, even if you didn't support ALS, support something, because there's so many different studies going on, and we need to support. We need the support of finding cures, and also, finding the truth, because like it was said earlier, because I'm big on conspiracy too, that I believe that it's more of a patch than a cure. So let's pray that they find a cure for things and stop looking to try to make money. And that's also accountability action for big business. So,
Absolutely.
Take care of everybody, and, don't forget who you are and what you need to do to take care of yourself and others.
Yeah, and I just wanted to put out a little challenge to all of our radio listeners, families, friends, and so forth. If you could just change one thing in your lifestyle, one healthy lifestyle, whether it's eating more fruit, whether it's taking a walk every day, walking up the steps, parking your car farther back so you have to walk, to the groceries all the way down to the Walmart parking lot, whatever. I'm just challenging everybody to just change one little thing, and you would be amazed at how that one little thing will greatly influence your life for the better. I'm just putting this out there. Everybody knows I'm on this health struggle right now. I put it out on the air publicly, but my boss happened to pay for a gym membership for me right next to my job, and I've been going 3 to 4 days a week, and I might not even be in there 30 minutes at a time, but I'm telling you, it means a world of difference. So I just challenge everybody to change one something in your life to make it better.
All right. Well, we thank you for joining us this evening. We say use education and information as your first line of defense. Take back your power. Thank you for joining us at A Queen's Eye View. We'll see you next week, and we'll be talking about forgiveness. Is it for you or is it for me? Have a blessed week. We'll see you next week. Good night. Good night.